The Scarlet and Violet Pokemon TCG expansion came out a little bit more than 2 weeks ago, and there have already been hundreds of games and dozens of tournaments concluded on Play.Limitless. In today's video, we're going to see if old favorites such as Lugia, Mew, and Lost Zone Box have been winning, or have it been some newcomers such as Miraidon and Gardevoir. We're going to go over all the recent tournament results in today's video. The first tournament we're going to be taking a look at is the Underground Special event. This was won by a Lugia VSTAR deck. This was 90 players. So not the biggest event that we've seen so far, but Lugia has made a statement, let me tell you. So this is a single strike Lugia build. It definitely has proved to be the dominant build of Lugia. Tyranitar is a great attacker. A single strike crush attack can reach up to 320 damage with the help of single strike energies. And Stonejourner is a very powerful single prize attacker. It can one-shot Arceus, Miraidons, just overall a pretty solid attacker. Also can reach up to some pretty big numbers with that single strike energy. And then this is not nearly as consistent as we've seen Lugia in the past. Of course, no quick ball means we have to rely on a bit more coin flippy and inconsistent cards like capturing Aroma and Mesa Goza. But I think the format has finally slowed down enough to Professor Burnett is a very efficient way to get our caps down. We have 2 Luminion, 4 Aroma, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Mesa Goza to really get to that Burnett as quickly as possible. So Lugia has been definitely, it's probably been the best second format, one of the highest performing decks so far. Definitely one of my top picks for EUIC, and I definitely expect it to do very well this weekend. And this is just a very simple list. I feel like this is gonna do what you want to do most of the time, and that's just right now. Just the format's pretty inconsistent. So if you can just, I feel like the most consistent deck is really going to shine through in EUIC, and I have a feeling that it probably is Lugia. The second tournament we'll be taking a look at is the TCG Suomi event. It was taken down by Lost Zone Box, and this is more of a turbo Lost Zone Box like we've seen like Sablezard. We've seen more like that classic single prize, but this is trying to go fast, get that early Dragonite, get that early Raikou. Like we see that the 3 Lost Vacuums for our Seal Stones in heavy stadiums. So I feel like the goal of this deck is going to get 7 into the Lost Zone on the first turn, which is not quite as easy now without Scoop Up Net, but we still can use usually 2 to 3 Flower Selectings, 2 with Chorus, and then Lost Vacuum. If we can get rid of our own stadium, our own tool is a +2, so it's still very feasible to get 7 into the Lost Zone, and this deck is just very explosive. We can take, we have those like 2 prizes going second very early on, like against some of those EX decks. It's just like against Miraidon, that would be very hard for them to handle the pressure that quickly. If we can get turn 1 Moonlight Shuriken and wipe a couple Ralts off the board, I think that this is a very cool way to play Lost Zone Box right now. I don't know if you'll be quite as strong into the mirror match because like we're not playing a Hawlucha, but I still think, and I'll only have 1 Cramorant, but I still think that we're probably so reasonable enough into the mirror match. We probably can get to that Radiant Greninja faster than they can. So I definitely feel like this could be the way to go with Lost Zone Box. You guys will have to let me know. Do you prefer like Sablezard? Do you prefer like more classic build? Or do you like the turbo build? I've definitely seen quite a few people rocking this turbo Lost Zone Box build. I feel like it's probably one of the best decks in format right now, and probably one of the best ways to play Lost Zone Box. On to our third tournament. This is the Shamrocks number 3, and this is another Lost Zone Box deck. Very familiar looking list to our previous one. It's another turbo build. This one we do see utilizing that Hawlucha and the Cramorant. So I definitely, I prefer this one definitely over that last one. I feel like you're probably going to be much more well suited into the mirror match. We still have that turbo element to hopefully just take over the game on the very first turn. So I just think that this turbo build has a lot going for it. Just being able to take 2 prizes right off the bat and having a 230 HP attacker in the active spot, it's not going to be easy for variant decks to deal with that. Like even if you take out a Lugia VSTAR, or a Lugia V, excuse me, like they cannot Tempest Dive and one-shot you back anymore because they don't have powerful colorless energy. Like they need to find a Choice Belt and Lugia, and so it's like, or they get attacked with Tyranitar, of course, but that's not quite as good as a Lugia. So I just think that this aggressive turbo build, it has a lot going for it. So I just think that this probably is the way to go with Lost Zone Box. We'll see. We might have some more lists coming up from bigger tournaments, but as of right now, this is definitely looking like one of the most successful and best builds of Lost Zone Box. On to our next tournament. This is a very different deck. This is the winning deck from the Trainers Academy tournament, and it's our first new deck. It's Miraidon Regieleki with 3 Clef Keys and a 1/1 line of Flying Pikachu. So I feel like one of Miraidon's biggest weaknesses is that it's very weak into single prize matchups, especially Lost Zone Box. But this list is trying to fix that with Clef Key to slow them down into the early game, and the Flying Pikachu to just hopefully wall out all their basic attackers. I'm still sort of skeptical on how good Clef Key is in Miraidon because Tandem Unit is just such a broken ability. Like, you can't flood your board if the Clef Key's in the active spot. Cleansing Gloves is pretty awesome because it gives us a way to reach higher numbers into Gardevoir, because Choice Belt is not going to be helping us with Pokemon EX, so the only way to boost damage is like Cleansing Gloves or Defiant Band, and usually Miraidon's going to be the aggressor, so Cleansing Gloves definitely makes more sense than a Defiance Band. And then we're just going for max consistency with this deck for research to judge three Gust cards, and I do really like Arven in this deck because there's a lot of one of tools, one of items like Featherball, Battle VIP Pass. But to really incorporate the Arven to like full effect, I definitely would like to maybe see a Lumineon, because yes, we're playing like Battle VIP Pass to hopefully fish it out right away, but we only one Arven and one Battle VIP, like the likelihood of that play actually happening is fairly low. So I think honestly I would either try to fit a Lumineon, which doesn't feel super great, or I would just turn that Battle VIP Pass into another Nest Ball or Ultra Ball. Other than that, I don't really have any problems with this list. It feels like we're getting closer and closer to optimal. Miraidon, I do like Featherball does make a lot of sense because we can find our Pikachu and our Regielekis with it. Just the Regieleki VMAX because the V does have a retreat cost of 1, so it definitely could be a 4th Ultra Ball too. Or like I feel like some of these thinner counts would make a lot more sense with the thicker Arven count. So this definitely is a very interesting take on Miraidon. We're definitely getting closer and closer to optimal Miraidon, and I'm excited to see if this deck does perform well at UIC, because I have not been super impressed with it myself from what I have played against. But we'll have to see. What do you guys think of Miraidon? I have been very underwhelmed, as I just said, but I feel like we could get shocked, pun intended, at UIC by an optimal Miraidon list. Now we're at the halfway point, our 5th tournament. It is the Hoarders Circuit Series event. This is won by, yet again, a Turbo Lost Zone Box deck. This is slightly different from what we've seen in the slightly smaller tournaments. We're seeing a Penny make an appearance, which I don't really understand. Like, if you went aggressive with that Dragonite, and then they punch into you, and you're going to live, and then you could pick it up again. Not only is it a 1-of with no Lumineon to find it at the right time, the energies are going back into your hand, where you could not Mirage Gate them back out. So I just think this was probably better as like another Boss's Orders, another Cramorant. I don't really see the value of it, and even if there was some sort of value, finding it at the right time seems like it'd be a huge headache. But I don't really have a whole lot else to add. I've already covered 2 of these decks in this video, very similar to the first 2. Just this Turbo Lost Zone Box deck is really showing that it's probably the best build of Lost Zone Box right now. Another new deck. This is a Gardevoir list that took down the Tournament of Doom, and this is the Mew Union build of Gardevoir, which is, I think, probably showed off to be the best build of Gardevoir, just having that upside in that Lost Zone Box matchup to be able to take multiple prizes with Explosion, being able to one-shot V-Stars with Final Burn, but you also still have one-shot upside with Zacian, with that Zacian V. This build is notably playing very few single prize attackers. Sometimes you see that Cresselia or other little one prizes like Articuno. This just has the Gardevoir to be able to 1-for-1 trade in those other single prize matchups. Of course, Mew Union is going to be very good in those matchups, so sort of makes sense to go thinner on those counts. One thing I've been very skeptical of is we have very little search to find our Mew Union. Just 3 Ultra Balls is it. So we shouldn't have any difficulty getting them down with all our Curlias, Ultra Balls, research, etc. But actually finding them when we need to could be a bit slow and inconsistent, especially if our opponent is rocking hand interruption. I know that won't necessarily be the case into Lost Zone Box, but I think Judge Path is one of the most broken combos right now, and I've been playing a lot of Arceus myself right now, and I've found a lot of success in against Gardevoir, Lost Zone Box, Miraidon, just going Judge Path on turn 2, and they can't really do a lot against it. So I'd be interested to know how well this deck, how efficiently you can get Mew Union down when you get Judge and Pathed, or just when your hand gets disrupted. I think that's been sort of the issue with Gardevoir. is that it's a bit inconsistent, and like gives you a lot of energies down. You have to evolve, and like it's gonna take you at minimum 2 turns to set up because we have no rare candies in this deck, which I feel like is fine because Curlia is really good to help us trade, get through our deck, but we're not gonna be super explosive, and that's fine if we can set up. Like Mewtwo Union can take multiple prizes, it can last a while. This is great, just can we set up? And that's going to be the biggest question with Gardevoir going into EUIC. I'm personally not a terribly big fan of Gardevoir, but I do think it still can have a solid placement at EUIC. Now we have the Pumpkin plus ADL tournament. It's won by yet another Lost Zone box deck. And this one is a bit different than the other three, excuse me. Those are all turbo variants, and this one is more of a classic Mirage Gate one, but it is playing some more unique cards like the Galarian Zapdos V, which is obviously very great into Arceus, Miraidon, just hitting that fighting weakness, as well as the Yveltal, which I don't really understand the purpose of it in this deck. It just like doesn't do much against Lugia because they don't like only one of them, so you're not gonna run them out of energies. Mew, like it's not gonna do anything against Mew, so I don't understand the point of that card at all in this deck. So if any of you guys know why they play this, I've seen it in multiple lists now, and I know one Japanese list played it. I think this is very similar to that Japanese list. But still, I don't understand that card at all. So if any of you guys know why, let me know in the comments. But I do like the double mana fee for the mirror match because one of their plays that they like to go for is just to gust that mana fee or to use Lost Mine to clear your mana fee. And without Ordinary Rod, it's harder to recover your mana fee every turn, especially if like they go Rock Sand, Lost Mine, and KO it. So having 2 is just for like little extra insurance. It's not always convenient to play Clara every single turn, so I like the Hawlucha. Double mana fee seems very wise for the mirror match. Other than that, very basic, very good. I guess the not very heavily leaning into that Sky Sealstone combo. Just having it with the Galarian Zapdos, maybe like take 3 prizes off an Arceus or something. I would maybe, I don't know, like there's no lightning energies in this deck, so you can't use Raikou. But one thing you could consider adding is a Grand Bull V. But I'm not gonna go into depth on what cards you should and shouldn't add. And what do I know? I didn't win a tournament. This is a more basic single prize Lost Zone box list. Now onto our second Lugia deck, and this one won the late night 87. This is actually a little different from our first Lugia that we showed off. And this is playing one of the single strike Yveltal, which I actually really like. It's a very good attacker into that Lost Zone box matchup because it can live a spit, and also you can pile single strike energies on it and one-shot a Mew. So I do like that card quite a bit. But I do not really care for the Radiant Zarina. I understand the thought process behind it to heal like the Lost Mine ticks and things like that, but I just like it's a horrible starter, and also the bench space is always very premium with Lugia. That I have a hard time ever thinking that like in any matchup not called Lost Box, it seems like a completely useless card, and I'd rather just have something that helps me like in every single matchup in a deck that's like sort of like Lugia can like feel really good, like run really hot and feel amazing, or it just feels really bad when you start like, hitting tails, not drawing cards in the right order. So I like this maybe like a 4th Mesa Goza or a 3rd Nest Ball, 3rd Judge, something along those lines. Because I don't like missing. I just like, if you know me as a player, I just hate bricking. I just hate inconsistent stuff. So I just like maybe like, and also like this arena just provides so little value in my opinion. Other than that, 2 Stone Journers, love it. I feel like you can play 1 T-Tar if you're playing the 1 Yveltal. Other than that, I have nothing negative to say about this list. I mean, it won one of the biggest online tournaments yet. I do just, like, as a side note, I love regenerative energy in Lugia right now. How you can just, like, slap on a Lugia if you go second, read the wind, and, like, against Lost Box, they spit into your Lugia. And you just evolve and heal all that off like that. It just feels so good. I think Lugia is the best second player right now, and it's taken down quite a few events. On to our second to last deck, and this is from the Deck Out Gaming Tournament, and this is Goodra. Godra's in a really weird spot right now, where against like the 2 best decks in the format, Lost Zone Box and Lugia, Rolling Eye is a pretty effective attack. The 200 damage is going to be one-shotting most of everything in that Lost Zone Box matchup, and into that Lugia matchup, it's going to make it so that they're having to 2-hit you, and you usually can win those wars of attrition in that matchup. But I feel like into things like Gardevoir, even into certain more specialized Lost Box decks, if they can like rope Boss and then go and use their Dragonite and one-shot you, you're going to be feeling pretty bad. So I feel like Gudra is like sort of in that position where it's always been, where it's like kind of like jack of all trades deck, where it's like really mediocre into just about everything. And like as a skilled enough player, you might be able to squeeze out some wins in certain spots. But it doesn't really. I don't feel like it pushes it too far over the top for me. I do think Mew being on like sort of the decline does help out this deck. Mew is always one of your more dicey matchups. I would be, I might cut down on that Defiant Band count just a little bit because Miraidon's seemingly not been too successful. I maybe cut one for a choice belt. But other than that, I think the hybrid approach is correct with the 2 Melanies and 4 Chorus. So you can still like get that turn 2 Rolling Iron without having to Mirage Gate. Won't be quite as explosive without Scoop Up Net, but I think the Melanie is correct. I still think Gudra is very strong right now. It's just it's always been a very oddly positioned deck, and it has had some breakthrough performances at some of the later regionals in the previous format before rotation. I'm not quite as high on it as I was previously, but I still think Gudra is a very solid pick in the current format. And finally, last but certainly not least, we have a Lugia list that took down the late night number 89, and Lugia really made a statement over that 2 late night span. It took down both. This one is a little bit different than the one we previously saw. It's playing only 2 Mesagoza. It's playing a Roxanne. I don't believe the other one was playing a Serena. I do like Radiant Gardevoir more than the Serena. I still don't really care for Radiant Gardevoir, to be real honest. But Collapse is also sort of strange. Like I know Lugia was playing it for a while to deal with Regis, but obviously Regis is completely off the table now. I just want to be consistent. Like, is Great Ball really better than Mesagoza? That's a rhetorical question. I don't really know the answer to that. You do sort of need to be playing some sort of like stadiums to be able to bump past the peak. But I just think Lugia is really good right now. Like, the only change I'd consider making to this list is maybe messing on with like Great Ball. I don't know how valuable Roxanne is. Maybe a Yveltal over a T-Tar if you're struggling with that Lost in Box matchup. But just really, I think Lugia showed off why it's the best second format right now. And that's my opinion going into EYC, that Lugia is the deck to beat. I think Lost in Box is not too far behind it, but I think after Lugia, then there's Lost in Box, and then there's a pretty sizable gap before the third best second format. And I feel like you could make an argument between just about probably like 3 or 4 different decks to beat the third best second format, whether you want to argue Mew or Miraidon or Gardevoir or Gudra. I think those are all valid arguments. I just think Lugia and Lost in Box are head and shoulders better than the field. I could look like a fool after UIC, but that's why I like making this content. So I can look like an idiot and everyone can tell me why I was wrong. All jokes aside, I appreciate all you guys sticking with me through the inconsistent uploads. Hopefully here in a couple weekends I can be back to daily content. Keep posted on my community tab. I'll give you guys any updates on there. I'm very excited for EUIC to see what goes down. If any of you guys are attending, let me know in the comments, or if you have any predictions of what you think is going to happen. And if you have any suggestions about comments or decks you'd like me to play on TCG Live, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you out, or just if you want me to play a deck, I'd be more than willing to. So I appreciate every single one of you guys' support lately. Really means so much to me. We're trying to get to 400, so if you could please consider subscribing. We're very close. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Alloutblitzle, and I'll catch you in the next one.